Hello and welcome to Back Bedroom Art. Now I've got the first of two Resin Fail videos that I had made about 6 months ago and I put onto my other channel, Life of Paul. They don't really fit on there because they are more arty videos. So what I've done is I've deleted them off my main channel, Life of Paul, and I'm putting them on here for you to enjoy. So if you haven't already seen them, you're in for a treat. So anybody who's making resin art, it's very easy to find videos where it shows you what to do. It's hard to find videos where it shows you what not to do. So yeah, this video is definitely one of those. It's a brave video because I could have hidden it and pretended I was amazing at resin, but I thought I'd put it out there so it gives you some idea of what not to do when you make some resin art. And yeah, be kind in the comments because the me that you're going to see in it, it was my first ever video and I'm quite nervous, yeah, I'm not going to say anything else. You'll see when you watch it. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch and I hope you enjoy. So yeah, sit back, relax and watch me mess it up. Hello and welcome to my video. I thought I'd post this video. I've never done a YouTube video before to basically document my experience with resin art and show you the importance of actually planning and reading the instructions. Like a lot of people, I got into resin art as a bit of a, way to kill some time. And I started off small, producing like little letters and numbers. And as time went on, I started making a noughts and crosses board and pieces for that. And, started experimenting with dyes and glitter and making the pieces bigger and bigger and all going really well, to be honest with you, not having any problems. So I thought, let's make something bigger. So I got myself a mould and I made a little teddy bear, again using a bit of colour. There's a few bubbles in there, but other than that, all going swimmingly well. And I thought to myself, I can go bigger. So, I started making other things. I made little alien heads and then encased them in resin. And again, all going swimmingly well. Why not go bigger, I thought. Boom, an even bigger alien head within resin. Obviously I've got to clean up the edges of this still, but I even put a bit of paint on this. Really happy with the results. And I'm thinking, what could possibly go wrong if I made something even bigger? We'll watch the video and find out. But just to say that the things I learned from making the smaller pieces didn't prepare me wholly for the big piece. And what I don't want anybody to do is make the same mistake I did, which is jump from this to something bigger and have it all go wrong. I'm hoping to save you a bit of time, a bit of money, and a bit of pain because, yeah, it's quite surprising how quickly it can all go wrong. But I don't want to put you off doing this. And if anything, I'm more inspired to make another resin art piece. In fact, the project I failed on, I'm going to have another go at. If you want to leave a message in the comment section, please do. If you want to share any fails that you had, please let me know. I know I'm not the only one out there, but I know it's rare to see these sort of videos where somebody basically is willing to show how incompetent and stupid they were. Anyway, enjoy the video. Oh, and as a side note, when you watch this, I truly believed things were under control. I was primarily making a YouTube video, hopefully showcasing my success at the end. So if I seem a bit naive and unaware of things going horribly wrong and out of control, that's because I was. and it's amazing how quickly things can take a turn for the worse. Again, enjoy the video. I wonder what would happen if I was to put a watch into resin. Obviously not anything expensive, something cheap, cheerful, like this £5 watch that I brought. I don't think that'd be the worst thing in the world if it wasn't to survive. So I suppose what the next thing to do is decide how we're going to display this watch. The temptation is to just put it in, but if we're going to keep it in resin, I might as well make it look slightly interesting. So I thought, how about making it look like it's been dropped in water, come to the rest at the bottom of the bed of a river or a stream. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. So I suppose really what I've got to decide is how I'm going to display it and how big a mould I'm going to need for the resin. So two things: if it's been dropped in water, it's obviously not going to look like this out of the case. So I suppose open it up as if it's slipped off my watch, slipped off my wrist. And something for it to lay on at the bottom of the river. So I collected these stones. I think it'd look odd if it was to rest like that. So having it on its side potentially will give it quite an interesting little look. Still see the watch face, still be able to read the time, if it works. So now time to design the base for this thing. There we go. So I suppose the last thing to do is, does it fit? Lovely. So all I've got to do now is with my glue gun, go around the edges and seal the frame in place. Last little bit. So I'll just check along the edges, make sure the corners are all done. Yes, that looks pretty good. Right, so that's the glue all dried. As you can see, it's gone that lovely opaque white colour. So rather than just bung everything in, I think what I'll do is I'll do a base. So I've got this stuff here. So if I mix up some resin, add this in, and then do a thin layer. So that's like the riverbed. And then obviously we'll pile up the stones on it. Let's see how that goes. Right, so going to be using some 2-to-1 mixture from Epoxy, Germany. Safety first. Obviously mix it up after weighing out the substances. So we'll start with the A. Ooh. Probably would have been a good idea to break the seals before starting the video, but hey ho. So again, it's 2 to 1. So if I put 100 of this in, I need 50 of the B. Now for 50. $46, 49, 50. There we go. Now the great thing about this, because I'm going to be mixing it with the gravel, it doesn't matter if there's bubbles. So let's give it a stir. Okay, I think that'll do. So now let's add some gravel. Quite a light colour gravel, so I wonder how it will dry. Stir that in. Yeah, that'll about do. So now I'll pour this mixture into our mould. There we go. I don't want it too flat because I don't think a riverbed is ever flat. And now the fun bit. Let's place stones in. So what I'm hoping for is almost like a natural plinth for the watch to go onto. So I don't want to be too organised with my placement of these, because otherwise it won't look like a natural scene. I'll put one over there, and then one here. There we go. So I think that will do for now. And obviously later on we'll be putting the watch in and then filling her up. Oh dear, we had a leak. Just goes to show how important it is to seal it with glue. I tried sellotape as a immediate fix, out of panic I suppose more than anything. Kept leaking, obviously, that's not going to stop it. Put some blue tack down, seems to have stemmed the flow, but I think it still might be leaking. Be interesting to see what's going to happen to this bit of blue tack, whether it will hold the leak back or not. At the moment though, I'm using the lines on here to gauge if the resin leaks any further. Well, a bit of good news. Luckily, the case that we made for the diorama for the watch to go into stopped leaking, and we have ended up with this, and I am so happy that it stopped leaking. I had a nightmare of it going all over the counter, all over the floor, on the furniture. I just watched it with trepidation, and yeah, it pretty much seeped a little bit more, so there's a little bit of resin around here, but other than that, it stayed where it should do inside the case. It will cause problems later when I try to remove it. But other than that, yeah, I'm quite happy with the results. It's set nice and hard. And all that's really left now is for me to place the watch into the container and then fill her up with resin so she's immersed. Obviously I'm going to place the watch a bit more nicer. I'm going to have a few play arounds with what looks best. But other than that, she's ready for the final stage, the resin. Now I've super glued the strap and the watch to the stone so hopefully she won't rise. So all that's left, like I said, is pour the resin and see if she'll work. And one final beep for old time's sake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out A, first of all in 1 cup, and then again half amount of B in this cup, add them together, mix them up, bit of blue dye, and then see if this works. So here we go. I'm going to pretty much almost fill this cup up. So let's give it a pour. So turn this on, make sure it's zeroed. And we are coming all the way up. Now, the more you mix, the more heat is generated. So that is a bit of a concern, pouring it onto the watch, but I'll be honest with you. I'm not expecting it to work no matter how I do this. So that's the two mixtures. Okay, so she's had quite a stir. Let's add some blue in. Again, as you can see, scientific process of just guessing the amount. And let's carry on stirring. See what sort of blue we end up with. I mean, I didn't want to put too much in because I'm not hoping for it to be coloured 100% blue, so it's like a blue block. I just want that sort of bluey quality that water has from a distance, which I know it's cartoonish and it's very childlike. Blue is water, but yeah, I thought I might as well go whole hog with this. I know the original concept was to see if it would survive in resin, and I could have just made a block of clear resin with nothing but the watch in it. But if you're going to do it, you might as well do it properly, mightn't you? Okay, I think it's time for the resin pour. So the time is what, 8:36 or 8:37? 8:36. Oh, it's hard to read this watch. I think it's the resin fumes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this in nice and gently. Going to pour it to the side and let it slowly fill up. I'm hoping that there's going to be no sort of immediate malfunction. I would love for this to survive the resin pour. So bon voyage, my friend. See you on the other side. Well, as you can see, I'm madly misjudged that. I think it's time for a quick round of mixing up some more resin. Oh my days. just so as you know, one of the things I decided to do was just give it a little bit of a mix. The two layers seem to, I don't know, interact with each other and leave it like a milky residue. So I've gone along and I've mixed the two separate pourings together, and I'm a lot more happy with the results. And again, the watch is still working. Yay! Right, so let's let that bad boy settle. Right, I've put this outside because I don't know if you can see this, but the amount of smoke coming off it makes me think this is too much that's been poured in one go. I reckon that watch is going to be melting in there. It's generating so much heat. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. In fact, yeah. Not good. Not good at all. I just hope, worst case scenario, the case holds. Yeah. Yeah, a complete disaster. At least it serves as an example of what not to do. Wow. Well, at least it stopped smoking. But look at that. That's quite interesting, actually. The watch is partly melted. You can probably see a blob of melted plastic and gunk, and you can tell by the top we've had some major bubbles affect the casting. It's all in all a disaster, but strangely fascinating what happened. And if I was going for learning, then I would say complete success. Again, do you like my positive spin? I will say this. It's rubbish. But also weirdly fascinating. The more I look at it, the more I see. Like that little cluster of bubbles sort of suspended as a final burst of full freedom. I weirdly quite like it. If I was to put my hand above it, you can still feel heat, but it's really calmed down. Whatever reaction was taking place has calmed down now. But I'm not bringing that inside for a while. That was, yeah, interesting. Also, as a side note, and that is very hot to touch, it looks like the resin has solidified. I'm guessing though it's going to continue producing heat for a while. Today is not the coolest of days, clear blue skies, but it's in the shade. We're just going to leave it to finish whatever it was that it was doing. I'm really looking forward to taking this out of this casing. Shall we see then what we finally finished up with? Dun, 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 dun. Time to uncase. Before I do though, another interesting thing that's happened as a result of my disaster is the heat has caused all the sides to warp. Some of them by quite a degree. I don't know if you can pick that up. There is quite a severe bit of warping. So let's see what we should see.